The time is 5:32 p.m. We will now call the special public meeting of the Board of Trustees of Humboldt Independent School District to order. Moving to our first item of business, closed session. A closed session of the board will now be held on the matters contained in the notice for this meeting. Should the board determine that any final action, final decision, or final vote be required with regard to any matter considered in such closed session, then such final action, final decision, or final vote will be made upon reconvening of this public meeting in open session. The time is 5:33 p.m. Okay, the time is now 7:04. We will now reconvene into open session. Thank you for joining us tonight. Reminder that the meetings of the board are open to the public, but are not a meeting of the public. The Humboldt ISD Board of Trustees meet monthly on a regular meeting to receive reports from staff and take action from recommendations of the superintendent. The board receives the agenda and all supporting documentation several days in advance of the regular meetings, which allows us to ask and receive answers to many of our questions in advance of the regular meeting. Therefore, lengthy discussions are not always necessary on every agenda item, but as a board, we do have the appropriate knowledge and preparation for responses regarding the content of the meeting tonight. There are students and other guests present. To maintain decorum, respectful behavior is expected. Disruptive behavior and/or comments will not be allowed. And with that, our first item. Our colors tonight are presented by the Summer Creek High School Army JROTC. I would ask everyone to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the Texas flag.
Face. Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Order. Arms. Face. Forward. March. Left.
Please remain standing. We will now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Moving to our next agenda item, commendations and recognitions. Dr. Fagan, can you please introduce tonight's inspiring moments?
Of course. Happy first day of school, first of all. It has been a fantastic day in Humboldt ISD. And this is a historic moment for Humboldt ISD as we open a new school for the students of Lakeland Elementary School. Students were welcomed into the new Lakeland for the first time today. Several of us were there to see that exciting moment take place. Tonight's inspiring moment captures their excitement.
I want to welcome everyone back to the 21-22 school year. I am so excited to welcome you to the brand new Lakeland Elementary. The last time you saw me, we were saying goodbye to the old lady, the grand old lady of 6 decades in our community. But I tell you, whenever we saw the parents and the kids walking into this new school, the reactions were priceless. It was everything we could have ever imagined, and more for that matter. As the students walked through the different corridors and the different pods, first grade, second grade, third grade, etc. Absolutely phenomenal response from both the kids and their parents, and it exceeded all expectations as far as I'm concerned, especially someone that went to school in Lakeland, as you know. Can I come back?
Well, I always love the first day of school every single year, but this is a very special first day of school because we are opening brand new Lakeland Elementary School. And our 2018 bond was both about growth, but also about replacing some of our oldest facilities because they didn't provide the same learning opportunities as our new facilities. And we have been dreaming about what elementary schools could be for a few years now, and we've been working with PBK Architects for them to bring that vision to reality.
Absolutely the most gratifying thing that you can possibly do as an architect is watch the reaction when people come into the building, and when those people are young kids, it's nothing short of amazing. And one of the things that is just outstanding is to understand how these kids react to a building like this. And when they walk in and they see the type of fun that runs through this building because of the graphics and all of the exhibits, we actually know from research that that engages children with schools. And when we can engage kids in schools, we can change their attitude towards schools, and it changes their attitude for the rest of their life. And that changes lives, and that's the most exciting thing about a building like this.
It is designed with a lot of the learning built into the building. The building is itself a character in the story. And so to be here this morning and watch our students and staff arrive, to see their eyes get big as they see the giant tree in the entrance, to see their amazement when they walk into the learning pods, they can't believe it. And it's so great because the kids immediately go right to all of the children-friendly elements, whether it's the igloo or the dinosaur or the bear. They're attracted to that. You can see the love, and we really believe that this level of engagement and love of learning is going to be with them their entire lives.
For the community, I think it's gonna be a huge boost. This is in my personal, I want to move out of here. Now I want to stay. Definitely, it's just wonderful. It's just, I love it. I like it. It's really nice. I want to congratulate everybody who was involved. I can't explain you the feeling. I can't describe. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I never expect something like this. When they told me they're building a new school, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's nice, you know? But I never expect something like this.
Not only did we open the new Lakeland Elementary School today, we also welcome students to new Autumn Creek Elementary School and Sconzo Early College High School, formerly known as Quest, and named in memory of former Superintendent Dr. Guy Sconzo. Here are some of the pictures from today on both of those campuses also. So thank you to everybody who was on our campuses today to welcome our students, see our new facilities, open new schools. We appreciate the collaboration. We have Mayor Norman Thunderberg, who was at Lakeland this morning, and we're happy to have you there with us as we open that brand new school. And many of the board members were also present on multiple campuses today. So it was a great first day. Lakeland, there was nothing short of wonderful to watch the students walk in and see that building for the first time. And the parent, she said it all right there. So congratulations to Nolan Correa, Brian Telford, all of our construction folks, PBK Architects. You know, we sit down around the table with them and say, what if we did this? What if we did that? And not just any architect can do that. To say, what if we had a rocket ship? What if we had an Eiffel Tower? What if we had, they don't get that very easily. Architects are often not educators, and PBK has this unique ability to take our what if we did this, what if we did that, and turn it into reality. And to see that happen today is a heartwarming experience, but it also raises the bar in American public education from a building being a place of sort of an institutional feeling to a building. Today, one of our guests said, you know what this is? This is a combination of Google meets the Children's Museum. And I think that's exactly what it is. It's Google meets the Children's Museum, and our children, there were children who were crying because they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to go home. They were young children who were not old enough to go to school, and their parents were dragging them away from the dinosaurs, and they were crying. And usually it's the opposite. You know, we have some young children who are scared to stay, but and certainly I'm sure there were a few of those today also. But nonetheless, it was a wonderful day. Our staff was incredible. Thank you to Manhattan Construction. We have our own fire marshal here tonight for another purpose. Thank you to you and the city of Humble for all of the collaboration in opening these campuses. We couldn't do it without you. Our number one priority is a safe building. Our number two in priority is an engaging, wonderful place for learning and growing. And so thank you for all of your collaboration and help too. Okay. Next, the Humble ISD Education Foundation has awarded more than $14 million in grants over the past 21 years, and we are grateful for their work in supporting education in Humble ISD. I'd like to ask Ms. Jerry Monbaron, Executive Director of the Education Foundation, to come to the podium and give their annual report.
The foundation to give you an annual report each year. So the foundation's chair, Jim Carranza, is here to do that for the year 2021.
Good evening. Humble ISD trustees, Dr. Fagan, and guests. My name is Jim Carranza, and I serve as the chair of the Education Foundation Board. Tonight I stand before you representing a board of 28 dedicated volunteers who are passionate about supporting our educators and the important work they do in keeping excellence in education in Humble ISD. So before I go further, I want to publicly thank each of those 28 board members for the tireless efforts in fulfilling the foundation's mission. The purpose of this presentation is to share the Humble ISD Education Foundation's annual report for the 2020-2021 school year. You should all have a copy of the report at your table. And this report is also available on the Foundation's website at humbleisdfoundation.org. I'd like to share a few highlights from the report. Just as everyone was trying to figure out last year how to continue operations while in a pandemic, so was our board trying to figure ways to continue fundraising for the students and educators of Humble ISD. I'm proud to say with creative thinking and lots of planning, we were able to host all of our special events this year: the golf tournament, the Humble Rodeo and Barbecue Cook-Off, and our annual gala, which ended up being a Boots and Bling this year. While the net revenues were not record-breaking for these events, we're very pleased that our community of supporters were able to safely participate and demonstrate their support for Humble ISD. But there were a couple of programs that did break records last year. More Humble ISD employees participated in last year's giving campaign than ever before, and more dollars were raised than ever before. A record of $345,318 was pledged. Because the annual report runs from July through June, you'll see that as of June 30th of this year, we had received $330,000, but as the campaign kicks off in October, the remainder of that would have already brought it back up to $345,000. In a year where so much was unknown for our employees, to see that even more people joined this campaign to support their peers was awe-inspiring. Humble ISD has an amazing culture of giving, and the foundation is honored to be one of the many recipients of that goodwill. Another area of growth this past year was in student scholarship. The foundation partnered with many local organizations and businesses that were providing scholarships to our students, but through a paper process. This required our students to complete a similar application several times, and for some of our students, they elected not to pursue as many scholarships as they were eligible for. By partnering with the foundation, these organizations utilized our online application process, and therefore students completed one common application and only had to answer a couple of specific questions to that particular scholarship program, and the number of scholarships awarded grew from 19 to 114. And we saw a 224% increase in the number of applications submitted. We look forward to this program continuing to grow this year. I know last year was very challenging for many, and just as we saw after Hurricane Harvey, it is in the midst of difficult times that heroes stand up to care for others. I could talk much more about these heroes, but I know I'm not the only item on the agenda tonight, so I'll try to make this brief. but please do review pages 8 and 9 of the report and read more about the many businesses and individuals who showed their support of the Humble ISD through the foundation. In conclusion, I'm happy to report that the foundation awarded to Humble ISD last school year $1.2 million. So just thank everybody. President, Ms. Dixon, Dr. Fagan, and Nancy Morrison, who was the Foundation's board liaison last year, will you please join me for a quick photo? My goodness, that's a big check.
So while they're taking that picture, let me just say that that moves then the total from the foundation to Humble ISD since the year 2000 for $15.3 million. Can you please join me in thanking all the foundation board members who are so committed to fundraising for Humble ISD?
Thank you so much, Jerry and Jim. It's great to have you here, and I've said this for 5 years, so what's one more time? I still think an indicator of a report card from the state should be that if our employees are willing to give to the foundation in their own district, it certainly is a high mark of praise. So congratulations to the Humble ISD Foundation for all that they do and how much our employees support them. I'm really excited to announce a new designation Humble ISD has earned from the National Weather Service. Our district and the city of Humble have received Storm Ready certification from the National Weather Service. This distinction is awarded to communities and organizations across the country that demonstrate severe weather readiness through communication, mitigation, community preparedness to save lives. Dan Riley with the National Weather Service is joining us virtually to give us details on how this will benefit Humble ISD and our community as a whole.
Well, thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Thanks for the opportunity to join you virtually this evening. I wish I could be there in person. But I want to congratulate both the City of Humble and Humble ISD on this Storm Ready certification. Both have clearly gone the extra mile in severe weather preparedness, monitoring, and communication. The ISD has written procedures very specific for dealing with a number of different weather scenarios like heat, extreme cold, lightning, thunderstorms, etc. For outdoor events, the ISD has an assigned weather monitor to look at lightning data and radar data, and also National Weather Service warnings and advisories. Using that information to then warn people at these outdoor events of the upcoming weather. They're then guided to sheltering locations. So that's very well prepared, great planning. Not something you see really with every ISD. I've seen it at a lot of universities at that level. So it's really great to see that in the planning. Both the city and the ISD are closely tied to the National Weather Service. Of course, Weather Service puts out weather information to the public all the time, but we brief the emergency managers directly, and they share that information out to the people of Humble and the students and staff there in the Humble ISD. We consider them both great partners of us. Really, it's all of our goals to keep everyone safe when threatening severe weather, to let people know what's coming so they can take protective action. So it really is a pleasure for me and us to recognize Humble and Humble ISD with this Storm Ready certification. So just one more time, congratulations again, and thanks for having me this evening.
Thank you so much. Let's see, now we would like to have Board President Martina Lamont-Dixon, Humble ISD Police Chief Solomon Cook, Humble ISD Assistant Director of Emergency Management Dean Herbst, City of Humble Fire Marshal, Emergency Management Coordinator James Nee Kazak. I'm going to mess up his name. Mr. Sitton, you should be able to say it for me. Nikaza, and City of Humble Assistant Fire Marshal, Assistant Emergency Management Coordinator Steve Forbes. They will also be holding letters from the National Weather Service that proclaims this designation. So congratulations to all of our safety folks for all of their work in coordinating our storm preparedness. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for being here. There is so much more to celebrate today, but I'm going to stop there, Ms. Dixon. So thank you so much. That concludes our awards and commendations for tonight.
Thank you. The next item is public comment. The board encourages comments from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so following the procedure outlined in the agenda. The board asks that comments pertain to public education issues and be no longer than 3 minutes. Remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda for tonight's meeting. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion until the appropriate time during the meeting. In addition, the board has adopted complaint policies that are designed to secure, at the lowest administrative level, a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. Complaints brought by students or their parents, by employees, and by citizens may be heard in accordance with board policies. Each of these processes provides that if a resolution cannot be achieved administratively, the person may appeal the administrative decision to the board as a properly posted agenda item. Copies of our district policies on public participation in meetings and filing complaints are available on the Humble ISD website. The first person signed up for public comment is Shanika Stewart. Ms. Stewart, you may go to the podium. Is she here? Okay. Not online either? No. Okay. Well, we'll move on. Next to address the board is Erin Green. Ms. Green, you may go to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Erin Green, and I am a current taxpayer in Humble Independent School District, a mother, and a former public, private, and charter schools teacher. I have been concerned regarding the direction education is taking in our public, private, and charter schools. Several of these concerns deal with the curriculum taught in our classrooms. Tonight, I want to discuss the International Baccalaureate. The International Baccalaureate, or IB, was established in 1968 in Geneva, Switzerland, has a mission of creating a better world through education and supports UNESCO, which is the education arm of the United Nations. The United Nations has a long history of supporting globalism and not individual countries. The UN supports issues such as sustainable development, Agenda 21, disarmament, and social justice. As a former teacher, my job was to teach my children how to read, write, do math, and know history and science, not indoctrinate their young minds on political issues that contradict the Constitution. Students in Humble Independent School District are Texans first, then Americans. Why does Humble have curriculum from another country in our schools? We are Texans, and education should be kept local since we know what our students need, not someone in Switzerland. Recently, I spoke with a friend of mine whose daughter graduated in the IB program at Humble High School. She said her daughter worked late nights during the week, sometimes until 2 in the morning, and weekends on projects. Practically all subjects had a project, and regardless of who did the work, everyone received the same grade. Furthermore, her daughter was required to complete a certain number of community service hours a month. One particular service project the students had was making breakfast burritos for the teachers on Teacher Appreciation Day. Her daughter and her classmates were required to have fundraisers in order to raise money to buy the items needed for the project. After working hard and being told when she graduated from the IB program she would have an associate's degree, she was disappointed when she applied to universities in the area. Unfortunately, she applied to several colleges and none of them would accept her credits from the IB program. As a taxpayer, I implore you to research this program and stop funding IB since it counters our American values. A neighboring school district's administration admitted that IB does not fit the community's morals and standards and has requested a formal review from the Texas Education Agency. Perhaps our district can do the same. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Our next item is comments by individual board members, starting with Ms. Morrison.
Well, I just want to say it was a fun day today. I definitely got my steps in, but so many smiles, so much happiness. It was obvious everybody was ready to come back. I mean, seeing the parents' faces at Lakeland, I told Lucy and the principal, I said, I just wished I was young enough to teach again. Because I felt like a kid more like the bull in the china closet. I was the kid with the cookie jar, and I had all the sweets. But it was an absolutely fabulous day. I only made it to so many schools. I wish I could have made it to more. But everybody, the teachers, everybody was so excited to be back, and it was just a wonderful experience.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Mr. Kirchhoffer.
I had written something down, but I forgot it. That's probably a good thing. Dr. Fagan and the administration team here, I got to work about 9 today at the office, and I had lots of happy parents there. I mean, lots of them, moms and dads that had dropped their kids off. So, happy first day of school. I want to encourage everybody here to take the momentum from today and through the rest of the year. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirchhoffer. And all the way to my right, Mr. Sitton.
Thank you, Madam President. So I know Jimmy Nakaza just left, but I wanted to personally thank him and the work that he put in over the last several days trying to get permits and occupancy for our new campuses, specifically Lakeland and Sconzo Early College. He worked night and day with Nolan Correa and his team, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later under our committees. But Norman, if you would please let him know that we want to really thank him publicly for all the work he did to help us get where we were today, this morning. And also I want to thank you personally for coming out to Lakeland. I know it's near and dear to your heart. I do have to tell you, I wish I'd have had a camera on you when you would walk into different areas, because it was, it was really fun to be there, and really the video that we did was so legit. I mean, the kids were just on fire. I'm fortunate I was able to take the day off from work today, and I hit 10 different campuses, and that's not to be boastful. It was just the idea that I had the time and I wanted to go, and went to Autumn Creek, went to Centennial, Kingwood Middle, and all the high schools and so forth. But everywhere I went, it was exactly what Ms. Morrison said, the excitement, not just from faculty to get back in the classroom, but families and students just glad to have things back to normal somewhat. And the reaction to our new campuses, but even Deerwood Elementary, for instance, one of our older campuses, got a total remake, all new paint, new floors, and it looked like a brand new school in there. Sterling Middle School, new paint job. I mean, they were ecstatic because it looked like a new school on the inside. So, Mr. Correa, you and your team, the maintenance group, everything that y'all have done all summer long, because y'all don't get any time off. I mean, everything that y'all did to get us to this point today, I want to thank you and your team. And Dr. Fagan, your entire team, the curriculum department, all the professional development that happened over the summer to get us here, and all the cabinet that's here in the audience. I couldn't thank y'all enough. And Chief Cook, y'all earned your money today, didn't you? I'm going to tell you right now, anyone that complained about traffic on any one campus, you should have been at all of them. Because that first day of school was, I mean, it was a madhouse. I was talking to Miss Toomey. I was on my way back from Kingwood, and I hit Oak Forest, Eagle Springs Elementary, Timbers Middle School. I hit them all, and there was traffic lined up everywhere. So, that's the first week. We get this week behind us. People get into their routines, and that traffic will start easing up a little bit. And let's see, lastly but not least, the foundation. What a tremendous story. We as a board need to do a better job of telling that story because, I've been on this my 11th year on the board. Prior to that, I served, I don't know, either 3 or 4 years on the foundation board, and that's where I kind of cut my teeth with the school district from a volunteer standpoint. But when you look at their annual report and the amount of money that our community raises through the foundation and the work that they do, the services they provide, the scholarships that they're providing, what a tremendous story. And Jerry, tell your entire board at your next meeting that we really appreciate the work y'all are doing. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Sitton. Ms. Parker?
Thank you, Madam President. I just can't agree more with Mr. Sitton. I mean, he just hit the nail on the head. You all have been working hard all summer. Our teachers have been back. They've been having lots of fun meet and greets last week. It's been a great, great time. But all I really wanted to do is welcome everybody back. What a joyous time of year back here in school. And I just want to welcome back our learners, teachers, and staff. And I know it's going to be a fantastic, awesome, and I want to wish everybody a safe 2021-2022 school year.
Thank you so much. Ms. Toomey?
So at our last board meeting, I mentioned that I was not mentally ready to admit that the summer was coming to a close. Unfortunately, time did not check with me and get my approval, and it passed, and today we had the first day. But it looked like it was an amazing first day from what I saw. And I just want to again welcome, as others have done, all the students and the teachers and the staff and administration and everyone back. So I had a really awesome time this morning visiting with Autumn Creek Elementary, our new elementary, when we did the ribbon cutting and opening there. That was great. But there were sort of 4 minor but also impactful things that I wanted to mention. One, Mr. Edwards, thank you for letting us onto your campus. He was a wonderful host as the principal there, and he had a wonderful tie. Apparently he's got a collection of ties that match the theme of the school. So good spirit, good school spirit there and setting culture. 2, they have some of literally the most amazing little chairs. I don't know what they're called, like these pod chairs. I want one for my office.
You spent a lot of time on that.
Those little eggshell looking chairs, those are great, and they swivel, which for someone like me that has ADHD, that actually is really nice because it allows me to move and not have to sit still. And so I really liked that. So that was a takeaway. Third, and I talked about this a lot with Ms. Schultz, and that was the concept of a soft start is what I witnessed today. And what that is when, and I'm going to say this incorrectly, but the students were there before school started playing games in the common areas, right? So each pod, 5th grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade, et cetera, has these common areas, and the students come early to play games. One of the things that I thought was so cool was this is Autumn Creek's first day. These are students that are integrating in from other schools together. This wasn't one kid and two kid or people that were already in a friend group coming together and meeting sort of in an exclusionary way. This was the 5th grade coming together, playing games, and just seeing how those kids from that went to different schools last year really meshed together. And I'm going to cry. I'm going to try not to. There was an amazing teacher, and she didn't know I was listening, but I overheard her say, "You two haven't had breakfast this morning. That's not the way to start the day. Let's go down and have breakfast before we get started." Just to know that we have teachers on our campus that are concerned about more than just learning, they're concerned about the whole student, making sure that they're fed properly before they start their day, that was impactful to me. And then lastly, I want to say thank you to the Autumn Creek PTO. There's actually a representative from their PTO that's sitting right here. I met with Natalie Carter, the president of that PTO, today. She was awesome, so full of energy. But one of the things that she told me is that their PTO has made a commitment to have someone from their PTO present at every school board meeting this school year. If all of our schools would make that commitment, the amount of work that we could do together and how everyone would be sort of up to date and involved, that would be amazing. So I just really, I want to throw out a challenge to people from our other PTOs to come and get involved and send. But I just thought it was a great message from the Autumn Creek PTO, and I wanted to call you guys out for that great process there. Thank you.
That is awesome. Thank you, Ms. Toomey. Mr. Scarfo.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was fun, and you really did enjoy that chair today. I'll tell you what. And yeah,
I'm still having trouble walking, so the chairs are really important.
No, it's good. And every room we went into and stopped to talk to the kids, and they were really bubbling with enthusiasm. And I'm sure I've seen that all of our campuses. It's not just this, but I mean it's just really great to see. And yeah, and that really was nice. What that teacher took those 2 kiddos down to the cafeteria while we were standing there, because that is the most important meal of the day. So you gotta have energy. I just, in all seriousness, I just want to again though thank Dr. Fagan, thank you, your staff for all the hours and effort that have gone into getting us ready. Even though we didn't know we would get funded, we didn't care. But to be able to offer the virtual option, it might seem easy from the outside, but that was no easy feat for that to happen. So thank you for all those students and the parents, and for the district and all your team, just all you guys, great job. It took a lot of effort to do that, and then even with the getting updates to because there were concerns on different issues in terms of COVID protocols, and you guys really jumped through hoops, particularly in the last week, and not just the last couple of days because people sent emails. You guys were already doing these things. And people don't see that though, and I just want them to know that it wasn't motivated because a number of parents sent emails in about things. It was things you guys are already doing, putting in place, and you got out that information. And that was a great letter, Ms. Mount, that was put out by Public Communications for what we were going to be doing. So thank you, all you guys, for everything that you've done. And Mr. Correa, your team, and PBK, those are 2. I haven't gotten to Lakeland yet, but I will got to go and visit that one. But great facilities. I mean, really and really, truly, we can be proud of. And I think you're right what you said, Dr. Fagan, about their attitude towards education. They get it. They really do. So that was really, really good to see. And Ms. Green, I just want to say thank you for your comments. It's well taken, and we will certainly look into that. Anyway, off to a great start. Godspeed for everyone, all our students, teachers across the district, all of our administration and support people, bus drivers, our cafeteria nutrition workers, everybody, our custodial staff. We're off to a great start. I know things are not as easy as we thought they were going to be, but I just know this team that you have, Dr. Fagan, I'm not worried one iota. And I got another one into a campus, so this is number 3. So he's in kindergarten, elementary. So yeah, I have no qualms about what's happening. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scarfo. Well, like Dr. Fagan said earlier, there's so many good things. I don't know where to start. I had my spiel written out here, but there's lots of other things that I'd also like to speak on. Of course, I ditto everything that my board colleagues shared, but the inspiring moments, from Lakeland to all of the new facilities. I know it was a push to get everything open and running, but it looks like, especially from the video, that everybody is really happy about getting back. Congratulations to the Education Foundation, and I just want to point out again that especially the employee giving, $1.2 million overall, but the employee giving going up this year, especially when people were struggling, it was a very difficult time overall. That's truly impressive. And prior to my board service, I started off on the Education Foundation board, so it's very near and dear to my heart. So thank you for sharing that. And also the Storm Ready certification. That's pretty cool. I mean, that we are prepared no matter what happens in our area. So the other items that I just want to speak on real quickly are, we had words of congratulations for the newly elected board members. 2 of them came a little bit later, so I wanted to thank Harris County Commissioner Jack Cagle and Adrian Garcia for their words of congratulations to all the newly elected board members. Also, congratulations to all the AAU Junior Olympic runners who were competing at Turner Stadium last week. And I have to give a shout out, my goddaughter who competed, she came into Texas ranked number 2 in the nation, and she left number 1 in the 800. So I'm very, very excited for her. She did a great job. She'll be a senior next year, so kudos to Lauren. Welcome back to all the students, faculty, and staff. I know I'm looking forward to a wonderful school year. And my youngest, I only have 1 in school. I started off with 4, but only the baby, he's an 11th grader this year. But to Dr. Fagan, the executive team, administrators, thank you for all of the prep work that you put into opening our doors safely. We are definitely living through unprecedented times. So this is hopefully not too challenging, but I believe somewhat of a challenging school year. I know the district has sent out an email regarding COVID protocols, and we're doing the virtual option. I know Dr. Fagan will be going over that in detail during her comments. But just want to say we've heard from many, many parents about our plans, like Mr. Scarfo said, but it was already in the works. So we do think about those things. And I just want to remind parents, just as a friendly reminder, that, the board members here, we have kids in the district too. We have grandkids in the district, and the one of us that doesn't actually is one of the most compassionate people I've ever met. So what we want is what's best for all the students. We want them to be safe. We want them to be healthy. So just please know we are mindful in our decision making, and we do trust our administrative team, and we support them 110%. That's all I have. Thank you. Dr. Fagan.
Well, thank you. I have to just give one more giant thank you to everybody for a great startup today. The summer seemed really short, and particularly for our construction team, our maintenance team, they were putting in bipolar ionization across all these campuses and just making sure everything was ready to go. And it's interesting, we left the year, and I had this moment where I thought, man, are we going to need bipolar ionization? But then I thought, well, yes, of course, because it's also for flu and RSV and all these other things that are still around, and we just don't hear as much about them. And so, we continued forward, and we always intended to have a virtual option. March 6th of 2020, we were thrown into virtual almost overnight when all the schools were shut down and there was no alternative. And so overnight, all of our teachers became virtual teachers and our students became virtual learners, and we were trying to distribute technology, and it was just really, really difficult. But from that time forward, we learned so much, and we studied what kind of technology we need to have for teachers to teach well, for it to feel more like Sesame Street and Mr. Wizard's World, and less like 20 desks in a classroom and a Zoom computer turned around, and what kind of technology our students need, and what kind of scenarios make sense for students to be virtual. And so, Terry Perkins has worked for months to create master schedules that schedule all in-person students and all virtual students, and making sure that all of our teachers have sections devoted to every student. And So on and on we've gone, believing that in the legislative session, there would be a bill that fully funded virtual education moving forward. But as you all know, that did not happen, and the session ended abruptly, and there was no bill passed. And so a lot of districts across the state sort of said, well, okay, virtual instruction's not going to be funded, and so they stopped their models. Humble ISD continued to move forward and worked with TEA and legislators in hopes of some level of a compromise, because we believed that it was in the best interest of our staff and students to continue forward and not dump all of that work that we had done to create virtual learning 2.0 in Humble ISD, and there'll probably be version 3.0 and 4.0, but nonetheless, to take that next leap forward. Billy Beatty and his team had to do a lot of research to figure out just how much money we were going to lose if we moved ahead with virtual learning in Texas without a virtual learning bill. And at the end of the day, and with the support of this board, very courageous support, by the way, we moved forward with offering virtual in the absence of a funding model. And school funding is very complicated, but the bottom line is you get ADA, or average daily attendance, for students who are present. And these students would not be counted present by TEA and therefore not be eligible for ADA. We could count them as enrolled in our district, and through some processes that we're going to employ, we can award them credit through District of Innovation. We can pivot from a 75,600-minute model over to a completion model through our DOI, and we will do that. And through some changes to our board policy, we can make sure that students who are reluctant to return and who are struggling at home are at-risk learners and therefore eligible for that support and funding. And those avenues that are not available to students who are not at risk. And so we have really spent a lot of time with folks at TEA, Commissioner Morath, Dan Huberty, and figured out what is it we can do. And I think that's kind of a hallmark of Humble ISD, is that we don't say, well, you know, that looks difficult, we can't do it, we'll just quit. Instead, we look at everything. Billy researches funding sources. Jamie Bryson's telling us, oh, you can use that at-risk model. You can't use that one. Well, this one title. And seriously, everybody comes together on the stream. Every single person out there comes together, and they figure it out. And then we come to this board and we say, okay, we have figured out how we can do what we believe is best for students. And then Billy says, and it might cost us, I don't know, $8 or $10 million. And then we all recognize that that's the reason that we build budgets like we do. We build budgets with fund balance contingency because of emergencies, because Hurricane Harveys can happen, and storms like Imelda, and pandemics can happen where Nolan Correa has to order millions of dollars worth of masks and plexiglass dividers and water bottle fillers, and overnight we have $10 million in things we didn't expect. And so we budget that way in Humble ISD because it's responsible and because we have those one-time dollars available to meet the needs of our staff, students, and community. And so one more time, we are doing that. And we always say, you know, that was a once-in-a-lifetime situation, but it doesn't seem like they are. And the bottom line is this. The easy path is to say, well, that looks hard, we can't do it. The hard path is to find a way to do it. And that is what this team does, is they look at all the available resources and they find a way to do it. And they bring that to this board, who is completely supportive of everything that is in the best interest of this district and our staff and students. Even if it's difficult, even if it's a risk. When we moved forward with virtual, you all took a tremendous risk. And we took that risk with you. But we did it because we believed that it was best and that we believed we had the savings to weather the storm once again. And so I had the opportunity to be on a call with some superintendents this week. We've talked to the House Public Education Committee, and a virtual bill is perhaps back on the table. And so I feel somewhat optimistic, but we have seen this as a very tumultuous session. And so either way, the moral of the story is this: Humble ISD always planned for offering virtual learning 2.0 in our district. We continue to do that. We will move it forward. If we get funding, that's great. If we don't, Billy's not thrilled, but he'll live with it. And that's the way that we work through it. No different than the way that we developed our COVID protocols. We go through what we believe is in the best interest, what is reasonable. what is fair for our staff, what is best for our students, and we move those forward. And sometimes, a lot of times in education, frankly, we can't make everyone happy because there's a lot of different opinions. And what we try to do is make the very best decisions for a large, complex organization of over 45,000 students and 8,000 staff members. We try to give some really important health decisions, put those in the hands of families who are best equipped to make those decisions, and that's why we moved forward with virtual. That's why we moved forward with contacting elementary families, even though we're told that contact tracing is going to be in the hands of county and state health departments. That's the reason why we move forward with bipolar ionization work and HEPA filters and outdoor learning, eating and play spaces, all of those things, because we want to offer the very best educational experience in Texas, if not beyond. Sometimes that takes calculated risk and a lot of courage. It takes quality budgeting, and it takes a team that is stellar from top to bottom, and that's what we have here. Whether it's building leadership, or department leadership or cabinet leadership, every single person is the best that there can be, and that makes the difference. That's why we can do what we do. So thank you to everyone who has worked feverishly over the summer and had those days when they said, we're going to do what? And we did it anyway. And so thank you to the board for your support. Thank you to the community. There have been some really nice emails too, by the way. And we always appreciate those, you know, whether they're from staff or community members, parents, or whatever. And we appreciate the feedback also. We take all of that feedback into consideration when we're making decisions. I appreciate all the people that, you know, are reasonable and kind in their tone, even if they don't agree with the ultimate decision. I really appreciate that. We try to always be kind in our tone also, and we want to have that reciprocal relationship with you. So that is all I have for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Fagan. Our last opening item is updates from our board associations and committees. The first committee is Advocacy Committee. Ms. Toomey.
So I feel like we've had an update on Advocacy Committee from Dr. Fagan. So one of the primary things that the Advocacy Committee's been working on over this last year is virtual learning. The only thing I will add is just to provide a little bit more detail to one of the things that Dr. Fagan mentioned, and that is, so we're now in our second special session, and today the Senate Education Committee did hear what is now Senate Bill 15, which it's basically the conference committee version of House Bill 1468 from the regular session. So they heard that in committee today, and it actually looks very favorable. So if they can return to work, I think we're, you know, I've got optimism again. I lost a little bit of it earlier, but I think I've got it back. And I want to say, thank you to Governor Abbott for placing this on his priority agenda for this session. So I think that will definitely help. So that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you, Ms. Toomey. Mr. Sitton, Building and Planning Committee.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier about Mr. Cray and his team and the fact that they really didn't have a summer, I have asked Mr. Cray if he would give us a quick rundown of the work that was done over the summer and the work that's been done the last couple weeks to get these final schools open. So, Mr. Cray, if you could come to the microphone real quick and give us kind of a overview of all the work that y'all been working on.
Thank you, Mr. Sinton, Dr. Fagan, Ms. Dixon, President, trustees. Again, thank you very much. We've had a busy summer, and first of all, I want to thank Dr. Fagan, the leadership team, the Board of Trustees, because you get to see these wonderful schools, but we wouldn't have the opportunity to plan, think outside the box in order to build them if it wasn't for your support. So we appreciate that very much. I also want to thank everyone in the room, our leadership team and our assistant soups, because they put in a lot of time. Although I'm going to talk about our OSS team, they put in a lot of time to help guide us on these projects. So I want to thank them as well as we do this. You look at maintenance in our department. Kenny Kendrick is the director. He roughly did $26 million worth of summer work this summer. Some of it's still ongoing. Bipolar ionization, BAF fans. We did 18 mechanical, electrical, or plumbing projects across the district. 1 roof replacement, 3 HVAC control replacements, 5 generator replacement, air handling replacements all over the district. Under Leanne Montgomery, our operations director, there were 7 total paint jobs, 5 elementaries. And if you haven't been to these new ones, go look at them. They look really good out there. 2 middle schools completely repainted. 2 flooring jobs, 1 at the high school level, 1 at the elementary school level. We relocated furniture all over the district. We've ordered all of the supplies we need in the warehouse to make sure that we're ready for this school year. The grounds has cleaned up everything across the district and got it ready to go. And our custodial team, although being short 25, and it's very difficult to hire out there, I just want to put a plug. If you're interested in working for Humble ISD in the child nutrition program or custodial, we are looking for you. Where's the camera? We're looking for you. We'd like to haul you. Please call us. Please call us. We definitely need you. And then, of course, under construction, Brian Telford, the executive director, has 18 major projects going. Some of those include the Humble High School remodel, 16 multi-purpose rooms under construction right now, the EOC Center, Charles Street Stadium, middle school locker rooms and weight rooms, KMS mitigation, ISC mitigation, a brand new middle school 10, and a brand new KMS replacement, as well as the outdoor learning and eating play spaces. And opening today were the brand new transportation center, Lakeland Elementary, which is the state-of-the-art and beautiful, as well as Autumn Creek is also the same. Guy M. Sconzo Early College is beautiful. And then the remodel, phase 1 of the remodel cafeteria at Humble High School, which opened today as well. We were very excited about that. Transportation, Jerry Bird, and I don't think I plugged him, but if you're a bus driver and you need a job, please call us as well. We're looking in that area as well. But set up a brand new transportation center, did all of the reroutes, and if you haven't, one of the reasons we built the Northern Transportation Center is because we're saving $2 million in deadhead miles having opened that facility. We have 85 buses up there already, and they ran today very successfully, so we're very excited about that transportation center. In our energy management department, we have totally rescheduled all of our HVAC systems across the board to take away the peak. We're seeing a 20% savings so far in our staggered HVAC start times. And if you went out to all of our buildings today, they were nice and cool. So we're very excited about that. We've completed an LED audit of all of our elementary campuses over the summer. So we're ready to start the replacement on those LEDs to continue to save money in our electrical systems all across the board. Our environmental and fire and life safety system, Rick Inkster there, assisted with all of our fire and life safety systems all across these new construction projects. At the same time, implementing and redoing 3 of our campuses with brand new fire alarms. We had KPHS that got a new PA system. 250 of our OSS staff got trained in how to discharge a extinguisher. Rick Inkster, having been an ex-fire marshal, was very pleased to start all those fires so that people could put them out. So that was very exciting as well. We put a brand new clock at Humble High School, brand new clock system campus-wide. And we just developed a central office burglar monitoring system so we can control it from a central location as well. And then last but not least, 250 of our OSS employees also participated in CRACE training, active shooters, so we're very excited about that. So we were just a little bit busy this summer.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thanks for the update. Madam President, thank you for giving us a little extra time for that because there was so much going on, and I didn't want to wait to schedule like a town hall type thing. I wanted Nolan to be able to kind of talk about it because a lot of people think that, hey, school ends 1st of June and it doesn't start again until middle of August, so everybody goes on break. Dr. Fagan, I don't think you took a vacation this summer, did you?
Swim meets, Mr. Sitton. I went to swim meets.
All right. But I tell you what, that is the summer. The summer is really the part of education that flies under the radar. You know, you walk into a school, if it doesn't have new carpet or it doesn't have new paint, you don't know if anything's been done. But do you feel the AC? You know, those kind of things. And that's what they spent a lot of time on this summer. And again, hats off to the entire team for all the work that you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sitton, and thank you, Mr. Correa. Great running through all of that, because I know it's a lot, and apparently we are hiring, so. Okay, Board Superintendent Evaluation Committee, that's me, nothing to report. Finance Committee, Mr. Scarfo.
Thank you, Madam President. And this is kind of finance related. I did get to go to the Olympics one day I guess it was last week, and that was that's quite an event that's been put on. So hats off to all our folks, Mr. Kite and all those guys who were helping and with the Sports Authority. But in terms of the finance part, when we say, it has an economic impact on the community. Well, I got to tell you, in the couple of weeks, the 2 weeks that was going on, the times I was out at lunch, in the Humble area, you could see parents and students, because you see the shirts they're wearing from different places, and they were, buying food, right? And they're staying at places, so obviously money to the economy. And you get to talk to them, you say, hey, how did you like it? And they, to a person, like, oh, man, this is great facilities, and this is really a great deal, and we love being here. And he said, well, we love having you here, and keep spending your money. No, I didn't say that, but no, you could just see, it really, really was well done. So it does have that impact. It really, really just kind of trickles right down. So that was a good thing to see. And you weren't kidding about with the protocols about the set points. You really lowered them in here, I'll tell you that. So, but anyway, we have our next meeting coming up August 23rd. So I have nothing to really report from the committee yet, but we got a big meeting planned for the 23rd. So next time we'll have something more to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scarfo. Education Foundation, Mr. Kirchhoffer.
Jerry, that was a big check, and I'll see you on Thursday at our meeting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kirchhoffer. Kingwood Super Neighborhood Council, Ms. Toomey.
Our first meeting of this season will be August 18th, so nothing to report yet.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Toomey.
Madam President, you
Yes.
skipped the audit.
I did. I sure did. Audit Committee, Ms. Morrison, thank you.
That's okay. We have a meeting August 31st, so no real report. They're just beginning up business right now, so.
Thank you very much. So I knew you had a lot to report on building and planning. I don't know, I'm just joking. Okay, action items from closed session. Item 4A, personnel recommendations. Ms. Morrison, do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the administrator's personnel recommendations as presented in closed session with addendum.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? The motion passes 7-0. Moving to item 5, our consent agenda. 5A, approval of minutes for the regular board meeting held on Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. Consent. Item 5B, goods, professional services, and non-construction services exceeding $50,000 in the aggregate or $25,000 individually. Consent. Item 5C, 2021-2022 construction and construction-related purchases. Consent. Item 5D, budgetary transfers and amendments, including child nutrition increase requests. Consent. Item 5E, bond transfers and amendments. Consent. Item 5F, refunds over $500. Consent. Item 5G, board authorization of interlocal agreements. Consent. 5H, approval of RFP number 2021-005-03R, general merchandise. Consent. Item 5I, approval of RFP number 2021-006-0601, educational service consultant. Consent. Item 5J, approval of RFP number 2021-007R-02A, educational and curriculum subscriptions, internet, web-based access, and software. Consent. Item 5K, approval of RFP number 2022-04, electrical parts and supplies. Consent. Item 5L, approval of RFP number 2022-05, bus and automotive parts and supplies. Consent. Item 5M, approval of RFP number 2022-06, HVAC parts and supplies. Consent. Item 5N, approval of RFP number 2022-07, refrigeration repair parts and supplies. Consent. Item 5O, approval of RFP number 2022-16, glass replacement. Consent. Item 5P, approval of RFP 2022-101, miscellaneous instructional material. Consent. Item 5Q, change order number 2, North Transportation Center project. Consent. Item 5R, deductive change orders. Consent. Item 5S, 2021-2022 Student Code of Conduct. Consent. Item 5T, resolution for board policy revisions and virtual learning plan. Consent. Item 5U, 2021-2022 optional flexible school day program, OFSDP, for virtual learning for grades 9 through 12. Consent. Mrs. Morrison, can I get a motion on the consent agenda?
Madam President, I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5V.
5U.
Or 5U.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? The motion passes 7-0. We do not have any action items tonight. Next is our information items. Item 7A, 2020-2022 CRRSA ESSER 2 federal funds and 2021 to 2023 ESSER supplemental grant program. Any questions or discussion from the board regarding this item? Seeing none, next is item 7B, 2021-2022 Parent-Student Handbook. Any questions from the board regarding this item? Yes, Ms. Toomey?
So one of the things that I wanted to just briefly mention, on page 83, I think I'm on the right page, we have our dress code. So what I'd really like for the administration to do is to take a look at that with regard to bullet number 3, dresses, skirts, fashion slits, and holes higher than mid-thigh are not permitted. The reason why, so last year, if we remember, we modified the dress code in a way that would allow shorts, for example, athletic shorts to be worn. Because athletic shorts tend to go higher than mid-thigh. All of the other clothing items that are on the list, we have them on there for reasons other than just they're acceptable, but not at a certain length. I think we've already really taken care of that with the bullet point that says revealing garments are not permitted. So I'm going to suggest that we either remove the bullet point regarding the skirts, or we modify it in a way that is similar to the one about midriffs, where it's got to be acceptable when you're bending, stretching, reaching, et cetera. So just kind of take a look at that. I mean, I'm not suggesting particular language, but just look at it, because I think, especially, listen, I'm a mom of a girl who's got really long legs and really long arms, and it becomes very, very difficult, even when they're dressing modestly, to meet the rule that a lot of principals use to apply this standard, which is the fingertips. That's not really the intent of the rule. The fingertip rule is not policy. So I'd like to see if we can maybe do some updating on this for our next, when we vote on it. Please.
Ms. Toomey, are you looking to have this done for the 21-22 school year, or would this be something that we would bring to the board the next time the handbook is brought?
You know, I just want it to be something that is discussed amongst the administration, and the administration can determine when it's the appropriate time when they want to bring that up as part of the handbook revision. maybe I was just too frustrated a couple days ago out trying to shop for my daughter for back-to-school clothing, and I know that I'm not alone because I got several phone calls and text messages from people over the last couple of weeks as well. It's just, it's very difficult, and I feel like it's a bit, our girls are put to a different standard, I think, than maybe they need to be, so.
We will definitely review.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Toomey. Any other questions or discussion from the board? Okay, our last item, 7C, Financial Services Report, is a monthly administrative item. Any questions or discussion from the board regarding this item? Okay, thank you very much. Moving to our closing items, are there any topics for future board business? Mr. Scarfo?
Yeah, I would like to just add something to our consideration. I'd like to ask that the board, through the advocacy committee or an ad hoc committee, if, Madam President, you think that's the best way to go, looks into the feasibility of partnering with the city of Humboldt to run our own elections. I know the administration's been exploring that to some extent, but I believe this really falls into policy and governance, and it should be a board-driven initiative for us to consider. And given the costs of the last elections that we're all painfully aware of, and that what they're likely to be for the next one, we've kind of been told that it's going to be even more. And great job to our guys for negotiating that down from $900,000 to $500,000, which I still think is pretty out there. But again, when you look at all of the locations that had to be covered throughout the county, because, I'm just going to use Election Day as an example, because you could have voted anywhere in the county where they had a polling location, right? But few of our voters voted outside of our district boundaries. I mean, we had 29 on Election Day, 29 places where you could vote. And I tell you, and I took the time to just go through with a map, and I know you can't all see this, but how you would have some of these places, I mean, you could walk from one to another, let alone have to drive. So I think it's really nonsensical, and I think as stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, we really ought to take a look at this and sit down and discuss with the city as well. I've done some preliminary fact-finding, if you will. I actually had a conversation with the president of the board at LaPorte ISD. They partner with the city of LaPorte and two other smaller districts. And it was funny. He said they really enjoy doing it that way. He said back in 2020, they had to move their May election because of the pandemic to November. So they were forced to have to do it with the county, and they said it was a horror show for them. And that was their opinion, that they just didn't like from what they were doing in terms of responsiveness, costs, all those things. So, and I just think that you look at those 29 locations, even within our district, many of those polling spots didn't have but a handful of voters anyway. To have a place open for 12 hours for 20 voters, I think is crazy. And this isn't an attempt to suppress voting. It wouldn't do that at all. I mean, we could strategically pick where those places would be, where you'd say, okay, and we can get the full data as to how many voted at each of those 29 locations, again, just using Election Day as an example, and to see what makes more sense, what's more economically feasible for us. Now, of course, we may find out, we can't do it because you got to look at machines. Do you lease them? Do you buy them? Those kinds of things. You do have to staff for those places for the 12 hours on Election Day as well as early voting. But I think it's something that we really should at least take a look at. And we got possibly a bond election coming up next May. So, and I know the city of Humboldt is going to have an election next May for their council seats. So I guess time is a little bit of the essence. So we probably should, kind of go get moving on this. Mm-hmm. And so I just put that among to everybody to do it something we want to consider, and working obviously with the administration to do this, and where's the best place to put it from a board perspective. But I just think we should consider getting involved in that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Scarfo. I do think it's worth exploring. Yes, Mr. Sitton?
Yeah, so just a matter of clarification, because we can't discuss this since it's not on the agenda, but I think the actual dollar figure, while it was high, was more like 225.
It was 260 at the end of the day.
260, yeah. So it wasn't 500, it was around 260, which is still a lot of money, because we were one of the largest contributors to the election. The other challenge we have, but I do think they're open to it, the city of Humble has been running their elections through the county as well. That's why they had multiple locations that they normally were not using. So it would be a discussion that the administration would have to have with the city leaders to see if it's something that they would be interested in as well.
We will explore that further so we can bring back the facts. I remember when we did our own, the mail-in ballots were a nightmare. And so that has escalated to a whole new level with the most recent elections. So we'll get up to speed and talk with the city and then come back with options.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that sufficient, Mr. Scarfo?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I just, would like us to really be involved and to discuss it. And Mr. Beatty, maybe I misunderstood you because you had said to me that we had paid $260 so far, but we were still negotiating what additional we might have to pay. So it was probably going to be more than that.
So we got the final invoice this week, I think a matter of 2-3 days ago. And we're topping out at 260 for this most recent election. In comparison, the 2019 election was 170 when we contracted with the county. So they have gone up exponentially. And of course, we had to fight for the 260.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other topics for future board business? The time is now 8:19. This meeting is now adjourned.